the festival itself, you mentioned so many genres of music, even though it's a folk festival. It's billed as a folk festival. Obviously, there's folk there, but what is the parameters around booking other artists outside of the folk genre that you just feel fit the festival? I find that
we've got a lot of freedom as artistic directors until we really mess it up. We're kind of like the coach of a team, and when the team loses, then sometimes the coach is out of there.
Yeah, coach is in trouble.
I think for us, our board, and for the staff, in a lot of ways, the folk word, people used to say, don't call it a folk festival, that's a dirty word that starts with F and ends with K, and for a while it was a bit of a noose around our necks because the kind of music we booked didn't really fit it, and people who thought they disliked folk would like our festival, and once they came, they would kind of go, But we're really embracing that word, because to us it's about the vibe, the atmosphere, the community. We're quite non-commercial. We do have some sponsors, and we do hire some big acts, but really the majority of artists that we book are independent, on their own labels, write their own songs, or play traditional music. It's about the vibe. People come, they set up their tarps and blankets in front of main stage. That's kind of where they have their home base. People bring their families, they can bring a picnic lunch. We're not like some of the rock festivals where you have to buy water, you have to, every time you turn around, you have to pay. And you can sit down on the grass, you don't have to stand. People feel safe bringing their kids. We had an artist years ago who had a 12-year-old, and he said, where he's from, in the States, never let her wander around by herself. She was wandering around and picking up nacho chips and feeding the geese, which you're not supposed to do, but they get fat and shit all over our grounds. It's pretty bad, but it's really about the vibe and the approach, the feeling. We have 1,600 volunteers, so it's very much community-based. We feed the volunteers. So it's about that model. It's about, we drive artists around, we look after hospitality, we have a massage area for the performers. We feed the artists and volunteers in the same place, so it's quite egalitarian. Like I said, you could have 3-year-olds to 70-year-olds, and it's a very different vibe than, say, a rock festival where you sort of have 20 to 40-year-olds, and there's a lot of litter strewn at the end of the night. So it's really about that community aspect. Environmental stewardship is really important to us, and our recycling program, diverting waste. So that's the core of it. And then for me, on the music side, I still think that we're a singer-songwriter festival. Even though we have hip-hop artists and bluegrass, and really the core of it, if it isn't an evolution, if it isn't traditional music, we're an evolution. So if it isn't Trampled by Turtles, who are drawing on a bluegrass tradition, or a Celtic band, or a world music band from Africa that's playing purely traditional, it's the evolution of those forms. And so then really it's about the lyrics for me. If it's a singer-songwriter, and so they can be delivering those in a hip-hop way, or it can be more traditional, or it can be singer-songwriter. But, there's some singer-songwriters that I don't consider... There's some punk rockers who I maybe consider their lyrics are more relevant or interesting to me than someone who is a solo singer-songwriter with a guitar. But there's some solo singer-songwriters with guitars that are just phenomenal. And so it's still, to me, about the songs and the songwriting and originality and independence. I started sort of calling us an indie festival, and our local indie festival, who do mostly rock shows in different venues around town in a sort of a showcasey model, was kind of offended, and he figured I'd kind of stolen from them and that I only started booking indie music when they came along. And no, we booked Victoria Williams and Giant Sand and all kinds of artists that were considered alternative way back in the late 90s. And so really indie is now...
Isn't it weird to say that now, just by the way back in the late 90s? So indie music now is what I used to call alternative. And alternative is about breaking down genres and barriers and thoughts. Like, it's about approaching a song in a different way. It's about singing about things other people won't sing about. And so I think of that as indie or independent. So that's kind of the long answer to, like, how do we call ourselves folk?